Yo, what is going on, guys? One more team bringing out a brand new Busch Gardens video, and it has been a minute since we made a Busch Gardens video. As you guys have known, there's been a lot of live covers uploaded to the channel. It was supposed to be one huge video. Unfortunately, I had to get chopped up because it got blocked on YouTube. The full video still exists, and I'm gonna do something with it. That's a conversation for a future video. So if you want to know why there's been so many live covers one after another, that's why. It's just because I have a bunch of these videos that I'm very proud of on my hands, and I need to get them out before a whole bunch of new ones start rolling in. So there's still a few more left of that group, but I was like, we gotta break it up. So that's why we're here. Plus, we got an awesome topic to talk about. But also, before I get into the topic, thank you guys so much for 700 subscribers. This is the first video where I've actually recorded it after hitting 700. So thank you guys so much. This channel is just growing and growing. We're getting closer to that 1,000 subscriber mark. And thank you guys for joining me on this journey. And if you're watching this and you're not subscribed yet, make sure to subscribe down below. What is today's topic video? It is Loch Ness Monster at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. Now you're probably like, Will, didn't you make a whole video about it shutting down like a month or so ago? I did. We got new information. This information is actually insane. It's actually awesome. If you guys saw that video where I talked about Loch Ness Monster shutting down a month ago, I gave kind of a wish list of things that I would like to see in this new restoration of Loch Ness Monster. I feel like maybe they watched my video. Not actually. These plans definitely have been in the works for a lot longer than my video's been up. As someone who's a diehard Busch Gardens fan, you can definitely and has kind of the finger on the pulse of other Busch Gardens fans. It seems like Busch Gardens had that finger on the pulse as well, because with the list of stuff that they have given out for Loch Ness Monster's return, it's insane. What is happening? First things first, gonna have a new name. It is now the Loch Ness Monster. The legend lives on, and I love that. I think it would have been fine too if they had just kept the Loch Ness Monster and it's just kind of like we restored it. But with what they're adding to the ride, it's awesome that they're adding the legend lives on. Because in this park, and I've spoken to it before, where you kind of always have to catch up with yourself. Park goers are always like, who has the newest attraction? You were always kind of wondering with Busch Gardens and knowing Loch Ness Monster was aging, are they going to restore it? Are they going to scrap it and put a new ride there? Because they have to keep adding new stuff. And all of us fans were like, it's the first and still the only operating interlocking loop coaster in the world, so you have to keep it. It is going to live on for a long time. I've spoken in an earlier video where I just would pray that there was a day that I can take my kids on Loch Ness Monster, because that is such a founding piece to the park. Even though it wasn't here the year it was built 3 years after the park opened. It feels like if it was gone, the park wouldn't feel the same. And I'm super excited that because of this, I have confidence that when I have my family and my kids in the future, that I'll be able to take them on Loch Ness Monster as well. What they are adding is what I said the most. I've made multiple videos about it. On-ride effects. They are doing it, and they are going ham on it. Number one thing I said was they needed to add stuff in the cave. And what did they say? They're adding a bunch of on-ride effects inside the cave, including a face-to-face with the Loch Ness Monster himself. Now that is awesome, but I'm gonna hold my breath a little bit. I'm excited. But we're also talking about Busch Gardens here. And with on-ride effects recently, it's hit or miss. Verbolten has killer on-ride effects when they work. Dark Coaster, the whole ride shtick is on-ride effects. It's hit or miss with them. There's some good ones, and there's some that, they don't hit as well. On paper, this sounds amazing about Loch Ness Monster. But this isn't the only on-ride effect. But on paper, it sounds awesome. We'll see how it turns out. Anything is better than what they have now. Because right now, when you're in it, all you see is darkness. I will say, regardless of the output, it's better than what we have now and is a worthy successor. Also, another on-ride effect, and I mentioned it in the other video, is the Rhine River is not that deep. But I said if there was a way they could incorporate a Loch Ness Monster sighting into that, it would be awesome, because that's like a whole shtick is people go to Scotland and can we get a sighting of the Loch Ness Monster? And so I said just a cool little gag the park could have is there'd be like an animatronic that rises out of the water. We're getting it. It's unclear if it's like an animatronic. Exactly what it is might just be like a mold underwater. No one knows exactly what it is. They said from the bridge and from the ride on the first drop, you will be able to have a Loch Ness Monster sighting. And the reason why this is so cool is because it's not based off something that was there before. Like the cave effects The cave's always been there. They're just kind of adding to the cave. But for this is a whole new ride element being added in this restoration, which is awesome. You'd like to see a lot of new, because they could just one-to-one remake the ride, which in a way they're doing, but they're really taking steps to heighten the ride experience. Riding Loch Ness Monster is already an experience because, like I said, the interlocking loops, but also just the age and almost the legendary nature of the coaster in general because of how long it's made it. And one thing that's awesome, the track, they're restoring most if not all of the track and replacing it with new track, but it's going to be a one-to-one remake of the ride before. Even the way they piece the tracks together is going to be the same way. One thing that's really awesome though is because of the restraints on the ride, at the moment, it doesn't look like there's going to be a whole lot of change in the trains and the restraints, which is unfortunate. But there were a few imperfections on the ride. The reason why the restraints are so tightening on Loch Ness Monster is because theoretically, if you had a wide enough wingspan, you could reach your arm out in the interlocking loops and hit the other loop. So that's why it's so restraining. So there's a possibility that with this restoration, they're going to expand it to where you can't actually reach your arm out and hit the loop. I mean, I understand that they want to keep the trains and the restraints the same because you don't want to make it feel like a whole brand new experience. You want it to feel like Loch Ness Monster, just new. So understand, just for the historic nature of it, you want to keep the trains and the restraints kind of how they are, even though they will be fixing the imperfections in the initial ride's construction that was 45 years ago. A lot of fans are like, it's not the same ride because it's going to be new track and all this. I'm like, it's the same ride. It's the same ride experience. It's literally being put together the same way. This is a beautiful step in the park restoring what it already has. And they're also doing this over in England with Squire's Grill. That restaurant is getting a whole remodeling, which is awesome because that is like the first restaurant you see when you're in the park. And a lot of people go to it, and it's always been kind of hit or miss on if it's open and what they're serving. So I'm glad to see that that's getting a massive restoration as well. But obviously that's not as notable as Loch Ness Monster's restoration. But Loch Ness Monster is going to be closing on October 31st this month, so get your last rides in on the original Loch Ness Monster before it reopens in 2024 as the Loch Ness Monster, the legend lives on. I am so thrilled about this. I've been super excited. The concept art just of the monster itself looks insane. I'm excited to see how they're going to incorporate that look into what the inside of the cave is going to be, because if you're doing a one-to-one of everything, where is the space for you to come face-to-face with the monster? I'm expecting possibly like a Yeti situation at Mount Everest at Animal Kingdom, kind of that idea. It might be an LED screen. I didn't even think about that. I just said LED. Oh, it's probably gonna be an LED screen. I don't love LED screens. Anything is better than what we have now, because what we have now is darkness and helixes. I'm super excited about this restoration. It is much needed, much deserved, as much crap as we can give the park every now and then because of how they handle what came before. I think we all, just like we did in the last video when it came to ending summer nights, we must do this for Busch Gardens. Round of applause. They deserve it. This is a fantastic, phenomenal move, phenomenal decision, and I cannot wait to ride Loch Ness Monster, the legend lives on. What that leaves is for you guys to let me know what you think about this new restoration of the Loch Ness Monster. Let me know your thoughts down below. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Make sure to like this video if you enjoyed. Make sure to hit that bell button down below to be notified every single time I upload a brand new video to the channel. We're going to keep talking about this restoration as more updates keep coming, because this is a hot topic within the Busch Gardens fandom and a topic that I'm currently obsessed with as well. I can't wait to keep making more of these videos. Got a really exciting Busch Gardens video that's going to be coming next week. So we're going to get back to hopefully doing these weekly. Going to go to Hollow Scream in a couple weeks. Might vlog it. Don't know yet. My name is Will Morris, and I am out. Peace. Baby, I'm gonna take you for a ride. I promise to make you feel